June 29th, 2016. Guys, we've watched and we've seen different reports about the upcoming chaos that could occur both at the Republican convention in Cleveland and then later at the Democratic convention. But July 18th through the 21st is the Republican convention in Cleveland with Donald Trump there. And back on the 7th, people started complaining. That is this month, June 7th. And what Cleveland had set up, they had planned to have 3,000 police officers there. But security experts and those expecting to attend fear that a compact space for demonstrations combined with turbulent crowds may be a recipe for explosive clashes. Very well could be. But things are changing, guys, and they're not changing for the better. One of the key complaints by groups who support and oppose Donald Trump said that it is limited space that the demonstrators will be allowed to occupy during the convention, which runs from the 18th to the 21st and is estimated to bring 50,000 visitors to Cleveland. I expect that to probably be more than up to 200,000, more than likely before it's said and done. But two parks will serve as a demonstration area, but demonstrators alternately will share a single parade route and a speaker's platform with a PA that individuals can reserve for 30-minute increments, placing opposing groups at that time in close proximity during focal points of the rallies. And I agree with that. But now notice that they said the demonstrators would share a single parade route, but at different times, alternately. Not at the same time, so they're trying to appease both sides. But what they're saying, and at that time on the 7th, Ralph King, the local organizer for Citizens for Trump, said they're inviting a bloodbath with the way they're setting it up. Instead of separating and just giving the permits out to where people wanted to have different marches and parades, now they're putting them in a fishbowl. In a way it was, but just as you think it was bad, in comes Soros and Clinton money and makes it 10 times worse. I'll get to that. Now, to prevent their supporters from being in the line of fire of the anti-Trump supporters, Citizens for Trump has asked to hold its rally the day before the convention starts at a separate park, trying to prevent the Soros-Clinton paid chaos. It says there it will hire its own security team. And that's a good thing. Then you got your outside police force, your inside security team protecting people, because we've seen folks attacked. And it's mostly, whether you like it or not, been the paid Craigslist $100 a day protesters that have a few catchwords that they've been taught. And that's about all they really know about anything. If you look in their eyes, to be honest with you, it's just how it is. A lot of them have been paid to break this up. Same way that the same folks are involved with that are really upset about Brexit. We know who they are. You've got people complaining on both sides here. But Mr. King, again, pro-Trump, they're estimating in their permit app for about 5,000 to 10,000 people. But Brian Hamley, he's the founder of Stand Together Against Trump, or Soros and Clinton, which has filed protest plans for Clinton, says he hopes through meetings to reschedule with city leaders this week that he and other group leaders will be able to persuade the city to reevaluate the protest and parade sites. Again, not to get it better, to make it worse. He says, I think the most important thing in terms of safety and overall planning is having defined large areas downtown that are available for free speech. He says, right now, with the approach of having one very small parade route and two very small parks with limited usage, I'm concerned it's not enough room or enough hours to accommodate both the Trump supporters and the Trump opponents. In other words, let's throw them all together. That's why I said, you think one plan was not that good? Look at this plan. And you can tell who's hired this guy. He says his group will offer conflict resolution training ahead of and during the convention to teach protesters how to defuse situations, both with law enforcement and any counter-protesters. Guys, we have seen that example, haven't we? Egg throwing, blocking the road, chaining themselves together. Everyone knows what they're doing. And it says that most of the anger is about the build the wall between the U.S. and Mexico, and at least put some type of ban on people from anywhere in the world when we have no idea what their background is, when we're seeing the bombs in Turkey, guys, the mass immigration across Europe that's causing chaos. Regardless if anybody likes it or not, that's the way it is. Now, they got a crowd expert called Paul Wertheimer who says this appears to be headed toward being a potentially ugly convention because of the rhetoric and the intolerance and the provocations from both Donald Trump's camp, including Donald Trump, and from some elements of the protest against Trump. Bull crap. It's just like the lie about the national polls now. Hillary is so far behind, if they would do a real poll, she would have to quit. It's sickening. It says the Cleveland police and fire are not in an enviable position. No, they're not. And these people and these judges that are coming in now are not helping things at all. But Frank Jackson, has said that he's voiced support for the parade routes and multiple demonstration areas the city selected, noting that there will be gaps in between parade demonstrations to allow for opposing groups to clear the area before the other group starts. That's the best way to handle this. Really the best thing, guys, and this should be a law after this year, no more conventions to allow the superdelegates to steal the public vote. Forget it. Let's vote. Let's get it out of the way. The conventions get politicians killed, and they give the opposing politicians a chance to create chaos because they're spoiled brats. Now, the Cleveland police has worked to solidify security plans well in advance of the GOP convention. Now, the Cleveland Deputy Chief, Edward Toomba, said they're not going to stand for any of this. They were talking to other close-by law enforcement agencies, booking extra beds in the jails, things like that, guys. So they're doing what they can do. But then we have an influence come in from guess who? Now, let's move forward 2 weeks. A federal judge has overturned Cleveland's restrictions on the RNC protest. Look at this, Judge James Gwynn. Guys, you recognize him? Bill Clinton appointed him. Federal judge on Thursday scrapped the city of Cleveland's plans for heightened security zone that would have encompassed most of downtown during the Republican National Convention, saying that the restrictions are burdensome to people who want to express their free speech rights. Judge Gwynn's ruling comes 25 days before Republican delegates and leaders will descend upon Cleveland and forces the city to redraw the boundaries to the so-called event zone, which would have encompassed a 3.5 square mile area at the heart of the city. Cleveland has indicated it would appeal the judge's order, but the executive director of the American Civil Liberties Union of Ohio, which brought the lawsuit, thank you, George Soros, said the organization's attorneys are now negotiating at the judge's behest to come up with a compromise because of the short time frame. Gwynn made his ruling orally following a hearing. He said he would have a written opinion later. In his comments, the judge attacked several aspects of the event zone and the restrictions which the city announced last month. He said the size of the event zone is unduly large. It was drawn to go from West 25th Street to Interbelt and from the lake south to the corridor between Orange Avenue and East 22nd Avenue. Now, guys, you guys from Cleveland know more about this area than I do. It's all surrounded. It all surrounded the Quicken Loans Arena where the convention will be held and will be part of an area with even more security. The judge went on to say the parade route was insufficient. The judge said the times at which people can hold parades, which is only a few hours each day of the convention, not during the hours in which the delegates are expected to be downtown, are problematic. Bull. That you're creating the problem. And I don't mean to suggest the city can't control the time in the parade routes, but I think the restriction to the Lorraine-Carnegie Bridge at times when delegates are almost invariably not going to be present is an insufficient opportunity for First Amendment purposes, the judge says. In other words, the conflict. He said there's constitutional problems with the use of the parks. Guys, when you've got a new situation with conflict, and you see it coming, sometimes you have to change a few things. Sometimes you have to keep people apart. But if you don't want them apart, if you want chaos, then you break down all the rules. And we're seeing that with this Clinton judge. Now, just in case that's not enough chaos to bring in martial law, In Philadelphia, the anti-poverty activists sued Philadelphia on Thursday, seeking the right to demonstrate during rush hour at the Democratic National Convention, which opens next month. The Poor People's Economic Human Rights Campaign plans to march during rush hour from City Hall to a park near the convention site on opening day, July 25th. So we're going to have from July 18th to up for over a week there, guys, of potential problem days. I'm sure there'd be a lot of mainstream news, and especially the way the mainstream or the Clinton campaign news network, guys, is handling this. Again, lying about the polls. But the ACL, or American Civil Liberties of Ohio, said the parade route and certain restrictions set by the city are unacceptable. Christine Link, executive director of the ACLU there, said it would have a hard time being seen or heard by GOP delegates, especially since the city plans to limit demonstrations on the bridge to daytime hours while most delegates are not at the arena. They're trying to prevent chaos. CNN, Soros, Clinton, they're paid judges. They're going to do everything they can to bring this chaos about. We're watching it, guys. This is the pressure that you're feeling. Be safe.